This is the Body Talks with Vera, where we dive deep into movement, strength, and joy at every size. I'm Vera, your host, and each episode we're having real conversations with people who are redefining fitness, confidence, and what it means to truly live in our bodies. Whether we're talking powerlifting, nutrition, running ultra marathons, or radical self love, this is a space where every body has a story. So let's get into it. I'm so excited to introduce to you my biz bestie who I connected with over TikTok a few years ago, became my business strategist who pushes me out of my comfort zone, and they push themselves out of theirs with powerlifting. Lindsay Johnson, aka the Radical Connector, is a sales and visibility coach for misfit entrepreneurs building their businesses to the beat of their own drums and radical enough to believe they can change the world. Lindsay's passion for using entrepreneurship as a tool to liberate ourselves and others from systems of oppression and lead impactful lives is at the forefront of everything they do. After 20 plus years of teaching entrepreneurs how to make money in a way that feels good, their message is clear. You matter, your work is important, and you deserve to make excellent money and change the freaking world. Welcome, Lindsay.
Hey.
I'm so excited you're here. I want to just dive right into it. So, of course, you're a badass sales and visibility coach. But today I want to talk about something you got into not too long ago, which
Mm.
is powerlifting. So, let's back it up. What is your experience and journey like when it comes to movement and fitness?
I am a huge nerd for fitness. I have always been involved in sports. When I was a kid, any sport, I would play it. As I got older, I got into dance and martial arts. I've done some triathlons. I've done some really cool bike adventures up in the mountains of Quebec. I went to Thailand to do a Muay Thai camp for a couple of months. I've done a lot of really cool things. I love fitness and exercise and really pushing my body to see what it can do.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you've had such like a great relationship with fitness. So,
Mhm.
I want to talk a little bit like what got you into powerlifting?
Well, as much as I love fitness, sometimes I do push my body a little too hard. That is a lesson that I have had to learn, unfortunately, over and over again. And so I was out for a pandemic stress run in 2020 and I tore my meniscus in my knee. And then going through the healing process of that, a couple years later, I tore up my other knee. And it was
Oh,
nothing that really happened. I think it's just age and like using my knees. I do a
yep,
lot with my body. And so they just kind of had an expiry date. But that
yeah.
meant that the things that I normally did for fitness, for movement, I couldn't do anymore. There were just things that were not accessible to me anymore. And I was chatting with a friend, what can I do where I can push my body? I can have something that is, you know, I can progress through, I can hit milestones, but it's going to be okay for two injured knees. And she had suggested powerlifting, looked up a gym, found an amazing community, and it is now my entire personality.
It really is, which I love. I love that you really like just like you took it and ran very literally with it. But I'd love to talk a little bit about the injuries, those knee injuries.
Mhm.
So since I've known you, you've had them. And I
Yeah.
know you're still kind of going through that process of finding proper relief for at least one of them through medical procedures. So how have these knee injuries affected how you move and how you navigate through your daily life?
Yeah, it's been rough. Because I'm somebody who like I just so love fitness and sports. I just so love it. And so when it first happened, I think I thought I would get the surgery and then it would be fixed and be back to my old self. And it wasn't until a week after the surgery when the surgeon phoned for a follow-up to inform me that he actually couldn't repair the tear and that it would just be a temporary fix. He scraped away some cartilage and kind of did what he could, and it would be a temporary fix, but eventually I'd have to look at something down the road, right? And I kind of asked, "So what am I gonna be able to do or not be able to do?" And he's like, "Well, you're not gonna be able to do things like running and hiking and anything where there is sort of a continuous sort of high impact, high torque, repetitive type thing." And it
Yeah.
was it was funny because he's telling me all this and I'm kind of just absorbing it. And then I went literally I had to go because I've got a physio appointment and I went to my physio and I asked the question, "Do you think I'll ever be able to hike again?" And I don't even think I got the word again out before I just broke down in
Mm.
sobs. I was so heartbroken.
Yeah.
And it was probably, I'm not even kidding, 9 months of just I couldn't
Mm.
even talk about it without crying. It was
Mm.
a huge grieving process
Yeah.
to lose the thing that, like, is me, which is moving my body and these intense ways with regards to fitness. Ugh, so it was rough, and then I was on the up and up, and then my other knee went, and so I
Yeah.
I was a little more prepared because I already had sort of changed my expectations around what that meant. But it was hard, and
Mhm.
also like this is coming from such a non-disabled privileged perspective, but just really seeing the privilege of being non-disabled. And when you lose even a little bit of your capacity to move, and then having just sort of the chronic pain of my knees hurt all the time. Like
Mm.
they always hurt. And so to have that, it was also incredibly humbling and made me even just look like really challenge my own beliefs and assumptions and privilege around being non-disabled
Mhm.
and what that looks like now. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that because, yeah, like, I think, for myself, I think of when I first dealt with, sciatic nerve pain, and I really had to kinda consider what I can do, what I can't do. And I got to a space where I think, "Okay, like, I think I'm in this situation, like, I'm more healed, I'm good to go," and then my femoral nerve decides to get pinched just even last weekend, where it sends me to the ER in so much pain, and now I have trouble walking. And I think even in my own house where I'm like, I have to take stairs just to get into my home, but walking upstairs is awful for me right
Mhm.
now. And, there's so many situations like the snow in my city right now where if you have a walker, a cane, a wheelchair, any type of mobility device, you cannot get through the streets
Mhm.
here. Even though we are such a large city that has so much money to give towards snow removal, yet, if you're disabled in any capacity, you're just screwed basically
Yeah.
here, which is just such a shame. And yeah, but
Well, I
on
mean, like because yeah, to your point, like you become like, this feeling of feeling trapped and like you can't get like if it's snowing out because I live in Vancouver where it's all hills, I can't go walk around outside
yeah,
because my knees don't have the stability, and if I slip wrong, I could tear them more, right? Because the tears are still there, and so you feel like a captive in your own home,
yeah,
right? And so you do really start to see how and I hear myself saying this, and it's so effing privileged to be able to say this, but you really do see how inaccessible the world is and
mm,
how people who need accessibility aids and support are just left on their own and just really abandoned by our systems. Yeah.
definitely. It's so disappointing and it's just so heartbreaking to witness. And, it's like whatever we can do to try and, move the needle a bit in our cities can be helpful in the end.
Mhm.
Do you have any suggestions for people who may be interested in getting more into fitness or just starting with fitness, but have dealt with past injuries they may still be dealing with?
I mean, other than working with you. Yeah, it's such a cliche to say this, but I'm going to say it because I've had to relearn this. Start with where you're at.
Yeah.
Do what you can,
Mhm.
right? You know, it's like there's an element of surrender that we need to adopt
Mm.
around going, this is like the reality of this is what the situation is. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. So let's focus on what I can. Where can I start where I'm at? And so whether you're working with a professional, you're, watching some YouTube videos or watching some TikToks or joining an online app or going to a gym, like whatever it is, just really think about not what you can't do, but what you can. And I guarantee there's someone out there providing something where they're going to be like, "Yep, I can help you. here's my videos, here's my whatever,
Yeah.
follow along and start to do what you can." And then, you know, I think that I know you can relate to this, Vera. When you're dealing with things like pain or discomfort and movement is relatively new to you, it can feel really uncomfortable. And so ease in, go slow, but also trust the process that the more that you move and you develop your strength, your flexibility, the pain will hopefully sort of start to diminish and you will feel better in your body and then you'll want to do more. So it's sort of like you gotta get over that initial hump of the discomfort and just pay attention not to push so hard that you're hurting yourself, but it might be uncomfortable to begin with, but just,
Yeah, it's
try.
really yeah, it's really a matter of listening to your body and,
Mhm.
not trying to push yourself so far where you can potentially injure yourself, but to push yourself enough that, you're breaking a sweat or you feel your muscles really working. So
Mhm.
something is happening. You're not just,
Yeah.
sitting, not moving, but you're doing something. And I think that's so important. And also on the note of finding someone, whether it be a professional or someone on YouTube or TikTok or wherever, who does what you want to do and who's also mindful of potential injuries or limitations you have, because there really is someone for everyone out there,
There
right?
there really is, and I think that's another thing, and I actually wanna share a quick story in just a second, but, to your point, if man, we always think we're by ourselves. We're the only one going through this. There's no, you know what I mean? And there's other people going through it. There's people who have gone through it, who have something for you to support you. There's people who have a program or a workout video for you. I think that's the thing is don't assume that it's just you against the world. There are people out there also to be in your corner to support you,
Yeah.
or whether they're teaching or guiding you, but also people who want in your position who want that guidance as well so you can form community. And I was going to talk about, because as I overdid it a few weeks ago at the gym. I don't know what I did, but I have a pretty good idea. But my
Mhm.
knees have been like brutal. Like I've
Yeah.
barely been able to walk. They've just been so sore. And so when I still go to the gym, but I'm only able to do upper body because I can't do any of the lower body stuff. And two out of the three exercises in powerlifting are squats and deadlifts are on the knees, right? And so today I went because I've not been doing it at the gym. Again, speaking to your point of people who like respect your body and where it's at. The people at my gym are so supportive. Yep, we're gonna give you these other exercises to do. Still come to class. We're gonna give you other things, right? You want that kind of community. But I went today and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. Let me try. Let me just try. And so I did some squats and I did some left deadlifts and I kept my weights really, really low. And again, it's that start with where you're at. I can't lift what I was lifting 3 weeks ago because I'm just trying again. And also I gotta kind of build back up a little bit, right? But it's that whole respect what your body is telling you. My body says I can do it. We're gonna go light today. We're just gonna go. And at one point I was like, I think I could go heavier. I was like, nope, nope. You're gonna just stay right here. You're
Yeah,
good. You're
good.
good. And so it's like, don't also, and that's where I say I've had to learn this lesson so many times.
Mm.
Stop pushing yourself past what you can actually do. Listen to your body.
I think it's something we constantly have to remind ourselves of. Like, we
Mhm.
always think, "This time is fine to go a little bit further," but no, it's not. Like, if your body is telling you to stop, listen to it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we haven't really spoken too much about it, but you are a student of mine as well. And
Yeah.
we have been doing some flexibility training for over a year now. And when you first came to me, I still have the video of our first assessment where you could barely do a squat and
Mhm.
lunges were completely out of the question.
Yeah.
Has your view of your body changed from first working together and to now doing powerlifting?
Has my view of my body changed? Oh, you're gonna hate me when I say, I don't understand the question. Can you ask that in a different way?
Yeah, like I guess more of a mindset way
Mhm.
in the sense of like I think of your knee injury here
Yeah,
because I don't know how you were feeling about your body before in the sense of maybe you were feeling kind of down about it because I know now because you're doing these great squats and you
yeah,
can do lunges, I see the excitement in your face now
yeah,
versus, the frustration you dealt with originally. So I'm just kind of
yeah.
curious if there's something in your brain that says like, "Oh, hell yeah, I can do this now." Like that really kind of hypes you up versus where it wasn't there before.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, perfect. Done. What Vera said. No, but but yeah, no, I really do I feel differently with my body? No. Do I feel elated that you have helped me get to a point that I can do what I can do? Yes. The level of pain in my body has, like, drastically reduced. I was actually thinking about that this morning when I was, like, changing from my gym clothes to my other clothes and thinking, "Oh, I feel so stiff and da 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 da," because I've not been doing the same level of activity because of
Yeah.
my knee pain, right? And so it was such a great, like, sort of juxtaposition to how I normally just since working with you, I just, like, I don't know how to describe it. The general pain in my body is just so dramatically reduced. I
Yeah.
move through the world and walk and do things and pick stuff off the floor and walk to the store. Like there's just the pain is gone. And to see how, you know, if I'm not staying consistent because of injury or otherwise, how that can come back. And so I think again, it's more of I think respect of what my body needs in
Mhm.
terms of movement and just movement, right? I need to respect that. If I don't move, I get stiff and sore. And I think that could also be an age thing. But like I'm so friggin' happy. I'm like these things that elated at the things that I can do now. It's like even last summer, I went for a hike, and I mean, yeah, I was very slow and my knees were very sore, but I still went for a pretty intense technical hike here in the mountains of Vancouver. And I'm like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I would say respect and elation.
I love it. And honestly, like respect, I think is what we strive for, right? To be able to
Mhm.
respect our body, to listen to it and recognize, those moments when we have found a good solid movement routine and then we take some days or weeks off or maybe months, which again, if it's injury related, of course, take that time off.
Yeah.
But to come back to it and you're like, oh, that's why my body is feeling this way because I took that time off.
Yeah.
And for me, at least, it's actually a great motivator to get back into it and get back into my habit so I don't feel stiff and sore.
Well, like, what did I say to you the other day? I was like, "Hey, can we do 2 sessions this week?" Because I'm like, I'm feeling it. And it is hard. Here, let me unpack this for a second. Because it is hard when you are dealing with pain. Like, I was in so much pain. And so it's like, okay, fine. I'm not going to move as much. It's all right. I will get it back. Yes, I'm going to have some stiffness and discomfort. It's fine. I will progress and get back. It's getting, like you said, getting back on the horse, right? And, getting back on that fitness horse. Sorry. Did you? But don't
That's
lose it.
gonna be
Don't
the
lose it,
color part
cute.
of that's the trailer, the horse.
That's the trailer, me riding the horse. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it is that awareness of again, but Lindsay, you gotta do something. You gotta do something. Even if it's just sitting in your bed and doing some stretches in your bed that are gentle, you still need to move the body. And that's that again, do what you can. Don't focus on what you can't do. Focus on what you can because every little bit of movement is going to make you feel better versus not, it's going to probably make you feel worse.
Yeah, definitely.
Generally speaking from my experience, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because you really just answered my next question, which was what inspires you to keep pushing forward if, you're finding something difficult or hard to push through?
My gains, my gains. The other night, I was, like, in bed, lying in bed, and I was like, "There are bricks in my arms." That was I was at the gym the other day, and I got a little emotional because I was feeling defeated that everybody's doing their workouts, and I'm off to the side doing something di I was feeling a little defeated, and I was saying to my trainer, "But my gains, my gains." But
Again.
that is what motivates me, is, like, having, like, strong shoulders and, like, my legs are like rocks, and, I just that is what but that's always what's motivated me in
Yeah.
fitness is and getting back into it is, like, you can see and feel the difference in your body, and I am a nerd for muscles. Give me I just wanna be jacked. I wanna be able to lift a horse over my head. Strong like bull.
You're not gonna be riding that horse. The
I'm gonna be
horse is gonna be
carrying it.
riding you.
What is that? Isn't that's from Encanto, right? Was it Luisa with the donkey?
Yeah.
Call
Yep.
me Lu
Oh my god. So, you talk about entrepreneurship as a tool for
Mhm.
liberation, and how or does that philosophy apply to how we can approach movement and fitness, especially in fat bodies?
Mhm. Yes. I mean, liberation. I talk about it, yeah, like liberating ourselves and others from systems of oppression. So we have to appreciate that if you are in a bigger body, there are many systems of oppression that are being applied to you, some without your knowing potentially right now. But even fat phobia in itself, it was a tool of oppression and white supremacy, right? And
Yeah.
so I want to acknowledge that if you are somebody who is in a marginalized body, whatever that might mean for you, it is scary. It is scary to get into this fitness space. It is intimidating. There is a lot of negative messages. You probably have a lot of internalized negative messages about yourself. And so I think the first thing is really just being so gentle
Mhm.
and aware. Gentle with yourself and aware and move at a pace that is right for you. And just understand that the very act of tuning into your body and doing something that feels good for your body is an act of your own personal liberation, right?
Yeah.
So I think just kind of starting there.
I definitely agree. I really love that. I I wanna switch a little bit because, when I first met you on TikTok,
Mhm.
I got to know you actually through a different name, which was Fantastical Fatty. And I remember even seeing you on TikTok live doing workouts and talking to the camera, encouraging people to do what felt good for them.
Mhm.
So I'm curious kind of how that got started. What made you decide to foster a community under that name instead of under the Radical Connector?
So, listen, first of all, I'm starting to feel real guilty because I really abandoned my TikTok community, really abandoned it. I just have been so busy. Last night, I was thinking in bed about a new approach I could take towards showing up on TikTok and re-engaging with the community in a way that feels good for me. But that being said, I just want to acknowledge I know I've not forgotten about you. But at the time, I was actually taking a rest year from the Radical Connector. I was feeling a little bit burnt out, a little depleted, and I wanted to cross train my brain. So, what does a misfit entrepreneur do during a rest year? Well, they start an entirely different brand, apparently. And so I had gotten on the sort of like body liberation, deconstructing diet culture train a couple of years earlier and was really going in on the work for myself on moving out of that space and into, like I say, body liberation, you know, fat joy, like that space.
Mhm,
And I felt ready to start talking about it
mhm. Okay.
publicly.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready before then. I was doing my own work. I would not have been able to handle the trolls back then, but now I'm like, "Okay, I can handle the trolls. I wanna talk about this. I wanna see what other people are saying." And because I love fitness, it was just a natural thing to just be like,
Yeah.
let's do some workouts, let's chill, gentle workouts, let's hang out and, get silly on camera together while it was just people watching me. And I just felt really called to start talking about my own experiences and talk about the my own journey. And then I had a few, I mean, my count is not high, 10,000 or so. Like I don't have I'm not like 100,000, 500,000, a million followers, but it did grow fairly quickly. And it was just a lot of really, people were just really relating to what I was saying. I was relating to what they were saying. And this community was born, and it really just was because I wanted to just start talking shit. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can.
I just
Honestly,
wanted
though,
to
I
start
love
talking
that.
yeah.
I love it because really, because that's how I found you, and that's what I noticed is how
Yeah.
you related to your community and how you interacted and engaged with them in a way that felt almost like a like an older sibling, really, where
Mhm.
just kind of like encouraging them and pushing them forward, but also to look at their potential biases and maybe things that they've internalized when it comes to their bodies and how they move, or even just fat liberation as a whole. And
Mhm.
I've always enjoyed seeing that. And I think, yeah, the fact that people did show up and they were there to support you because there's such a need for those kind of spaces in, like, a community where people wanna respect their bodies because when society has just really pushed it down our throats of,
Mhm.
we have to look a certain way, we constantly have to be changing our bodies, like, we have to be this, 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 and for you to have a space where you can show up as you are, of course, it makes sense that, that 10,000 people came to you and were like, "Yes, we are here, we want this." So
Yeah.
I'm glad you apologized to your community for abandoning them. I hope you will come back to No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. But I do love that. I do really appreciate what you've done while you were doing and creating Fantastical Fatty.
Mhm. Well, and it was funny because and that's your thing too, is like I started a podcast. Do you know how many episodes I need to get edited and up? I do really wanna get them up. There's so many good episodes. My gosh.
We have an episode.
Did it
Me
go
and you have an
live?
episode. It never went live.
Like, literally, like, 3 years ag like, honestly, okay, I need to get back listen, I promise, I've been thinking about it actually today, I was thinking about it this morning, I need to get those going again. But it was funny because when you and I first met, it was through the podcast, it was through this sort of, again, body liberation, fat liberation, and it was somebody else when I was talking about needing support with my body, they were like, "Hey, have you heard of flexibility with Vera?" And I'm like, "Yes." I just recorded them on my podcast. But what's funny is that's what I said to you. Why were you not the first person I thought of when I needed help? So I kind of kicked your butt a little bit to
Yeah,
start being more like talk about your business from the perspective of how you help people more because
yeah.
like you have changed my life, but then you also came into my world and changed my life.
Yeah, because I do think from a business perspective, like, I was I was struggling out there. I was, you know, with my little can begging for change from people on in the virtual TikTok world because I wasn't posting about my business. I was posting, like, free content, and I was doing silly little trends, and it did get me a large following, but nothing past that. So I do really appreciate what we've done for each other
Yeah.
in these spaces for sure.
And also,
So
can I just say oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just
no,
really quickly,
go ahead.
like, it's so funny because I remember when we first started working together and even our first session, and I just assumed flexibility with Vera, we're gonna be stretching, right? That is not true, friends. You are gonna get you're gonna be working. I because what is flexibility comes from strength, right?
Yeah.
Being strong, developing your muscles and whatnot. And I was just like, damn, this is hard. I was like, I did not sign up to like work. Why am I sweating right now? Like, what's going on? But I've learned so much.
Yeah. You really thought you were just gonna go on the mat and just go into, like, a
Just
corpse
hang
pose, like
out.
yin yoga type situation, like, no, different game here.
No. My hips, thank you. They hate you, but they thank you.
That's fair, I love them. They hate me. It's all good. So you've been through some like major injuries with your knees. You've
Mhm.
built the Radical Connector and Fantastical Fatty, and now you're pushing yourself in powerlifting.
Mm.
Has your mindset around resilience and growth evolved through these experiences?
Oh, so I would say in terms of resilience, it is my resilience that kept me going. My
Mhm.
resilience was fostered decades ago, but it's because of that resilience that I kept going. What has changed is, I guess what has changed is and this is new for me. I don't accept you can't do it. I don't accept you won't be able to hike again. Now, I will
Yeah.
say I have tried running. No, my knees say no. My
Yeah.
knees say hard no. But even just running across the street, hard no. But, it's a I don't even know what you call that. Like, what do you call that? What is the emotion word for I refuse to accept that I can't?
Um,
Where's the
mm,
feelings wheel?
yeah. Yeah. Come on. We need to bring that up right now. I should be having it like beside me. The feelings wheel. Which one is it?
Like determination? Yeah, it's a determination. It's like a if I can't do it this way, I'll do it a different way. So
You'll
maybe that's
find the work way.
industriousness. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much, you're not necessarily maybe you can't work through it, but you can work around it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah.
If you could go back and give advice to the Lindsay who was just starting their movement journey, so I know that was a while ago because you've
Mm.
always loved fitness, but if you
Okay.
could
What do you mean that was a while ago?
okay, for someone like me who's hated fitness when I was a child and a teenager, for I'm not really old, really. Well, maybe, but I'm not. But if you could go back to that Lindsay,
Yeah.
is there something you would say to them?
Yeah, I would say, listen here, babe. The world is going to tell you that you don't belong in fitness because of the size of your body. You go ahead and prove those people wrong. You
Mm,
belong here. Take up space. You got this.
yes, you do belong here. Thank you so much for joining, Lindsay. If people want to learn more about you, the work you're doing with powerlifting, but also just to work with you, where can they find you?
Well, you can come find me on Instagram, Radical Lens. And that's if you want to follow me for nerdy entrepreneurship stuff. And if you want to follow me for just me being a fantastical fatty, come follow me on TikTok as Fantastical Fatty. Now I am on Instagram there, but it's like, no, I'm not really doing very much. But come find me on Fantastical Fatty. You can listen to my podcast on Spotify, both the Fantastical Fatty podcast and I have my Work Less, Play More podcast for entrepreneurs. So you can check both those out on Spotify. And yeah, that's what's up.
I love it. Hopefully, maybe you'll be coming back to the TikTok for the fantastical fatty too.
I want to. Can I clone me? It'd be so great if I could clone me. I
I
want to.
I would love that because then me and you could just have a lot more working sessions together too, which would be great.
So I need to like triple clone me. I need like
Yeah,
three of
like we're
me.
gonna need a few versions of Lindsay here.
I don't think the world can handle it.
It would be a lot. It would be a lot of like nerding out over really random things, like not only just powerlifting, but I think of the shows you're into and
Oh man.
the
Yeah.
little jingles you're singing. But I will have those linked into the show notes. I do have one final question. And what is an affirmation we could offer to those listening in that we can show some kindness to our bodies?
Mhm. That we can show some kindness to our bodies. An affirmation. I would say just because I can't right now doesn't mean I can't forever.
Just because I can't right now doesn't mean I can't forever. I love
Mhm.
that. That's wonderful. Thank you, Lindsay, for joining me in this Lovely conversation on the body talks. And thank you to the listeners for tuning in. Remember to drink some water, do something kind for yourself and for your body today, and I'll catch you on the next one.